Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested, and one of the most exciting pieces of technology out this year, well, it's a car. It's Tesla's car. We went for a test drive with the Model S a couple years ago when that first came out, and out this month now is the follow-up, the Model X. Now, we have a friend of the site who just got his Model X. He's owned it for a couple weeks. We're about to go for a test drive and try out the new Autopilot feature. Come on. So I'm joined by Christian. Now, Christian, great to see you.
Nice to see you again.
Thanks for having us out. And you got your Model X.
I did. It's been a little bit over a 2-year wait, I think.
So you've owned a Model S, one of the first ones when that came out.
Yeah.
And you've loved the car. It's one of the reasons you decided to get the X. What are the big differences?
The big differences are the number of people you can seat in there. You can sit 5 in my Model S, 4 really comfortably. I got the 6-seater option for the Model X. It also has more cargo space because you can fold the back seats down, but also, of course, the flashy feature of gull-wing doors.
Ah, gull-wing doors. Now, it's not really an SUV. It's kind of more like a large crossover.
Yeah, they call
vehicle.
it a crossover, and I think that's right. It isn't so much an SUV. It was originally built as an SUV. You can't put a rack mount on the top because of the gull-wing doors, and it doesn't have as much cargo space as an SUV, but I'm not really an SUV person. I mainly got the X because I really loved the S and I wanted another car, but I wanted it to be different. So, and I'm absolutely in love with this.
It's a little bigger, it's a little heavier.
Yeah.
Now, with electric cars, a lot of people are going to be asking what the range is, what the battery capacity options are, and what the drivetrain is. Like you have all-wheel drive, that's standard here.
Yeah, all-wheel drive isn't even an option. You have to have it with the Model X. And the way all-wheel drive works is rather than some kind of complicated drivetrain that has both the wheels moving at the same time, it's kind of a more complicated drivetrain, and it's got 2 engines that speak to each other electronically and pass back traction control information.
Interesting.
So that's where the D in 890XD, which is what the full name of this one is, comes from, is the dual motors.
And that 90 refers to the capacity?
Yeah, the capacity. It's kilowatt hours. My Model S was the biggest battery at the time, 85 kilowatt hours. Since they did that, they've rolled out the 90 kilowatt hours in the Model S, and now you can't get 85 in the D. It's something like 90, 70-ish, and I think those are the only 2 options. There might be another one, but when you're going electric car, get the biggest range you can, because you can't, that's going to be the most expensive thing to upgrade if it's even an option to upgrade.
Right, so while over the long term you may be able to swap out the battery, when the battery goes, you can't actually upgrade to a higher capacity battery.
Yeah, I think there's an option to do that, but it's really kind of weird and backroom and really expensive.
So what's the range with 90 watt hours?
Kilowatt hours. I haven't tested this one out yet, but the EPA range is about 250 to 230. I get about 250 with my Model S, which they rated at like 280. So it really depends on how you drive. And the thing that I've learned about driving electric cars is it isn't about your speed. You can really go fast and still go a long distance. It's maintaining speed, because slowing down and speeding up is really where you lose energy. So for long drives, you want to use cruise control because it's a lot better at maintaining speed than you do, or autopilot in this case. That's the way to get long range. They've really also improved the software and letting me estimate how much range I'm going to have.
Well, let's get a little bit of a tour of the car. Let's get up to it right now. You have these similar doors, like I remember on the Model S.
That's right.
It gets recessed in. You just press it and open it?
Yeah, press and open. So the Model S, the handles will actually come out and you pull them like a regular door handle.
Right.
This one, it's simply a button and it opens the door.
And so that's a normal standard door, and then you have the gull-wing doors.
Yeah, the gull-wing door, it opens the same, but it doesn't open the same.
Falcon wing door.
Falcon wing. It's really, I can't even... I know why they call it Falcon. It's got the hinge. It's really awesome. They spent a lot of money engineering and designing it, and it's spectacular, but I still want to call it a gull-wing door because we've been calling gull-wing doors for so long.
Now notice these seats, they're really slim profile. Are they comfortable?
They're comfortable to sit in. For me, I've had other people who don't like that there's no armrest in them, and especially when you're going around turns. I sit kind of wide-legged, and but I mean, if your hips are a little wider, I've had problems with the seatbelt being a bit bindy on people. They've complained about it. The front 2 seats are some of the most comfortable seats I've ever been in. These seats back here are serviceable.
The back, the far back row.
The far back and this one. So as you progress down the car, the seats get less comfortable.
Okay.
Really back here, there isn't too much leg room if this person wants some leg room. I mean, you've kind of got to split the difference. But you can everyone can kind of negotiate their own leg room.
It's a hierarchy.
Exactly.
Seating.
Yeah.
Do you just go in through the middle and sit in the back?
You can walk in through the middle and get to the back, but if you had the 7 seat, you couldn't do that. So there's also another option, which is to move the seat forward with this button. It's different than the seat position button. and it moves the seat way forward.
It's moving both seats, actually.
Yeah, it moves the front seat to accommodate so that you can just kind of... And with the Falcon Wing doors, I can basically stand up in the car.
Wow.
And then sit down. And then the person back here can close it in on themselves.
Right, it's a front one back. Now, how do you feel about this shiny plastic?
I love the way it looks. I'm worried about scuffs and fingerprints over the long term.
Now, the doors open, the way they're open, it's really cool. It looks cool, but how functional is it? Like, if I park between two cars or in a garage where the ceiling isn't very high, how does that accommodate it?
So it's got sensors, and they spent a lot of money and engineering work to hide the sensors. It doesn't have the little buttons that you see everywhere on, like this has the buttons for the sensors, but on the doors it doesn't have any of those. They apparently invented some way of getting the sensors information through here. So if there's a car parked here, or say I stand in the way, it will adjust. That's where the Falcon Wing comes in Falcon Wing doors. The hinge here will adjust the opening profile.
So I'm going to close this door.
Yeah, it'll soft close. So if I'm standing here, I push the button, hopefully it won't hit me in the face.
And you're about maybe 1.5 feet away from the side of the car right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it doesn't open all the way, but I can easily still get in the car if I wanted to. There's also a button here where I can force it to open and tell it that it's okay.
And then the instance where the ceiling is low, then it can't actually, it needs to open up wider.
Yeah, it opens up wide and not as high. It also has, on the dash up here, which you can't see right now, but maybe we'll show it to you later, is an image of the car when the doors are open. And just like when you're backing up, it puts a heat map around where things are to let you know that it didn't open up as high because there's something in the way, or it didn't open up as wide because there's something in the way.
Let's move around the back. You were impressed, I remember, with the capacity of the Model S.
Yeah, the Model S for a sedan holds a crazy amount of storage. This one, if you've actually got it full of passengers, doesn't hold as much as the S, because you've got this little area back here, which is significantly smaller than my Model S's trunk.
Right, we have our bags in here right now. These seats, do they fold down for added storage?
They do fold down, and it's kind of cool. It's got a button right here, and if you push the button, the seat rest will drop.
Okay.
And you press it again, and that unlocks the seat, so you can put it down. If that seat is all the way back, that button push tells it to get out of the way.
Oh.
So that you've got the clearance.
So you'll never get a collision and scratch the back of the seat.
Exactly. So with that down, and with this down, we have much more cargo space than my Model S, but we lose 2 seats.
Right.
Just like the Model S, it also has a little secret smuggler's compartment.
I mean, this capacity in the back is what makes it the grocery getter.
Yes.
And you can put a bunch of stuff here. I mean, luggage for sure, for long trips. Could you put a bicycle in here, you think?
I'm sure I could fit my bike in there, especially without that seat right there. I could fit maybe even 2 bikes if you take the front tire off.
And then you can press the button again.
Yeah.
And it closes. Is there an automatic sensor to open the trunk? Or is it just on the key?
There's a button right here, just like on the Model S, so you push that. Or you push on the key. Push on the front to open the front. Push on the top to unlock the car doors. Push on the back to open the trunk. And then these two, they don't work at the same time, which is kind of unfortunate, but they open the gull wings with double pushes.
Wow. Flap those wings.
That's right.
All right, Christian, let's walk around the side. You know, from the back here, you can see some of the styling on the side. It's actually really cool. There's a line there and a line there.
Yep.
And your front door just popped open.
Yeah, so on the Model S, when you walk close, the door handles pop out. There's an option for this car, which of course you have to get, which they're calling butler mode, where the door will open up automatically when you walk up to the door. So
it's called Jarvis mode.
Jarvis, exactly. So all I have to do if I wanted to drive the car is I walk up, sit in, put my foot on the brake pedal,
and it closes automatically. You're never touching the handle at all.
Yeah, I don't have to touch the handle at all. There's a button here on the dash if I didn't want to use this lever to open the door. That will open it for me too.
Well, before we get on the road, because we want to test some of those features, one last thing on the exterior. Let's take a look at that frunk.
All right. Another nice thing about butler mode is the door will close itself too.
So this is a novel feature in the Model S because there is no giant engine under the hood.
That's right.
There's storage. I got to imagine this one has storage as well. Hey, that's actually not bad.
It's not nearly as big as the Model S. I don't know if you remember, but it has a huge cutout right here where I can actually get one of my suitcases completely in there. And there's a little cargo net to keep things from sliding around. This has the dual engines, so there's another electric motor back there taking up space, which means we don't get that cutout. But that's fine. I mean, you get a little more performance. I get the all-wheel drive. I get that. It's a good trade-off.
I'm looking at it. You know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to fit in this one.
I don't think you'll be able to fit in that one.
Let's not try, but I'm sure I'll be able to fit in that front seat. So let's take it for a test drive.
All right, let's do it.
All right, Christian. We're in the car now. You have this massive screen. It's the exact same screen that's on the Model S. Anything change in terms of the user experience, the speed, the responsiveness?
Yeah, this is definitely a lot faster as far as being responsive than the Model S. The UI has kept up. My Model S, being one of the first ones, doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles. I can't get Autopilot. I can't get all those other features. But I do get all the same software updates. So the UI has changed considerably since the first one, but I'm still very familiar with this UI because it's what I've been driving with in my Model S.
So this screen right now lets you open and close any of the doors and the trunk. It's like a computer, right?
It is. It's just like a computer. There's my backup camera, which I've got turned on. Normally that only turns on when you put it in reverse, but you can activate it just like the Model S at any time. And if you want a really weird experience, go down the freeway with that turned on. But usually it's just the map UI. You've got your music, which you can pair with your Bluetooth and other things. So it's a little bit of getting used to. When you tap an app that's already open, it goes full screen. And you can also full screen it right there.
And last time we talked about this, there are only two physical buttons on this car. You have the hazard lights and you have the button to unlock the glove compartment.
Yes.
And you're, over time, very easily acclimated to the on-screen dash.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, they made these hit targets very large, so it's pretty comfortable to hit them while you're driving. And they're in the exact same place on both cars. So you've got the seat heater and seat cooler here, which cycles through 3 different stages. You've got the climate control. Just like in the Model S, you can have climate control split between the right and left-hand side of the car. If you change this, there's a sync temperature button. And so that'll turn that on and off. And so your side will be different than mine. But if you sync it, they're both the same. With this car, since there's so many more people you can have back there, you can also change the temperature between the rear and the front and have them be different from this setting, which isn't too different than other cars, except for the fact that it's all done digitally.
Right. All right, well, let's get started. Let's get on the road.
Put it in drive, and once again, absolutely no noise.
No noise. You have no power button to start it. It's automatically on. And you have the map now, but there's also indicators for battery. I mean, that's what I would be looking at. So,
absolutely. So the energy button here allows us to get our little histogram of what we've done. You can see where I've accelerated a lot, where I've decelerated, where there's been changes in elevation. Those all affect the battery. Previously, it wouldn't give as much information. In fact, the primary way to look at your energy and your energy consumption was right here in the middle, where it would give you a projected range. But that projected range was based on exactly how you were driving in that moment.
Right. So this instant range button right here tells you that if you're driving right now at this type of change of acceleration, you only have a projected 136-mile range left. But if you go for your average, let's say over the past 30 miles, it says 173.
Exactly. So we're doing a lot of starting and stopping, so we were using the battery more than we would have if we were just cruising on the freeway, as we often do. So this is a lot more useful information. In the Model S, on my first road trip back from LA, I was going down the Grapevine, and the estimated projected range was 999 miles.
Let's feel that acceleration. Whoa!
Yeah. It's a little bit faster than my Model S. I still didn't go for the ludicrous speed model, which we got to test out when we did the Model X test ride, but it's still got a lot of get up and go. I still beat anything off the line that isn't another Tesla.
Yeah, and ludicrous speed, it's an option for the new Model S's and for the Model X. It's an extra $10,000, but once you have it, the acceleration is so powerful.
Exactly.
You would rarely use that, though.
No, I would only really use it in an emergency and demoing the feature to someone. And while every time I accelerate, I miss not having that ludicrous speed after I felt it, $10,000 to make my car a little bit faster, I couldn't rationalize it.
Right.
I couldn't rationalize it.
Well, something that you definitely want is Autopilot. So let's get to testing that. We're on the freeway right now. And last time we talked about driving an electric car, it's not like you don't tap your foot on the pedal as you would a gas car to let it cruise. You actually have to have it depressed at the speed you want, or have cruise control. It has great cruise control, but now also has lane-changing autopilot.
That's right. So next to the speed limit, you can see two new icons. The one on the left is basically adaptive cruise control. It's what speed the 75 miles an hour is what it's set at. If I engaged it right now, it would keep my distance from the car ahead of me. The steering wheel on the right is autopilot, and I'm going to turn it on right now by double-clicking the cruise control button towards me. It makes a chime, and it lets me know that it's controlling the car. That turns both of those icons blue because they're both active at the moment. My foot is completely off the gas. You can see we're slowing down because that truck ahead of us is slowing down.
And there are indicators, on-screen indicators for the cars around us. It knows the car's right there, and there's an on-screen. Hey, that's not a Model X.
No, they all show up as a Model X. In Tesla's world, every other car on the road is a Model X.
This is tripping me out right now because you don't have your hands on the steering wheel or the gas or the brake.
That's right. The car has full control. They want you to keep your hands on the steering wheel at all times, I'm guessing for liability reasons. And I don't fully trust it because it's still in beta. So I do keep my hands in a place where I could grab control if I needed to. But so far it's been fairly reliable. I've only had a couple situations where it's tried to merge where I don't think it was safe and I've had to take control back from the car. But say we're here and we want to change into that lane over there.
Yep.
All we have to do is turn on the turn signal in the direction we want to go. It checks to see if it's safe and merges over for us. It does one lane at a time. And now we're here in the middle lane.
And those solid blue lines means it can actually image recognize the lines on the road.
Yeah, as you see this curve coming up, you'll see that this starts to bend a little bit too. It's a really subtle bend, so it may not actually show up. It's when you get a more stark bend. Now you can see a little bit of a curve in the lines. But yeah, it's letting you know that it sees both of the lanes, and and you're good to go. I also like that it shows you the speed limit sign. It has cameras that pick up what the speed limit sign is, and it'll show you at all times. So if you forget, I mean, often I'll be driving on a road that I'm not used to, and I missed the last speed limit sign.
Yeah.
The car doesn't miss it. It'll let you know how fast you're speeding.
So cars driving up to our left, and we saw the marker, proximity marker, and then does it show up as a car?
It'll show up as a car once it's past the speed limit sign. So that speed limit icon is kind of hiding cars that are on the left.
You said it does image recognition on the speed limit. Also, is that also pulling information over GPS and location-based stuff, or is it actually just using the optical recognition?
As far as I can tell, it's only using the optical recognition, because I've gotten on the freeway in several instances from a surface street, and it hasn't seen the speed limit sign yet, and it still wants to go whatever the last surface street speed was. And you can adjust that just like you can in regular cruise control. I'm going to get over in the carpool lane where we can go a little bit faster. And so if I pump it up on the cruise control stick, I can set my desired speed at 80 or come back down to 75.
Wow. In cruise control, you can do your desired speed and also distance from the car in front of you?
That's right. There's a dial right here, which allows me to either say I want to be really close at a setting of 1. I call it 1 car length, but it isn't exactly that. It's adjusted for speed. And then if you're not as comfortable with the car driving, you can go to 7. I've been keeping it around 3. I feel that's a nice distance where I don't feel uncomfortable, where I don't feel like if something went wrong, I couldn't take control in time.
Mm-hmm. Are there limiters on speed?
As far as I know, there is not. I haven't gone insane on this. The top speed is 180 miles an hour, I think, like on my old one. And the acceleration is normally where I go nuts, because that's where it's fun. Going 180 on a surface street is just dangerous and a way to get tickets / arrested.
You notice I'm glancing back at the road because I'm noticing turns, and I'm not fully confident yet in the autopilot, but it's making those turns.
Yeah.
Like it actually is. And it's being reflected on the on-screen display.
Yeah, and I've had it for about a week. I'm really comfortable with it now, and I'm worried about getting too comfortable with it because I'm worried that since it isn't perfect, I'll be too reliant on it and not pay the attention that I should to the road. So I'm trying to keep aware of that. And right now is a good example. It was perfect timing. Occasionally it'll come up and tell you to hold the steering wheel. And so far I haven't determined exactly which conditions prompt that. I don't know if it's when it can't see the lane markers or just as a reminder that, hey, we don't know that you've had the steering wheel. So you have to jiggle it and it goes away. And we don't want you to get in an accident because you relied too much on the autopilot feature.
That beep, that audible beep there, was that an indication that you should put your hand on the steering wheel?
That is exactly right.
Something might be up. What about other cars? If someone starts swerving Like, will the proximity sensor react fast enough so that you can take action, or?
I believe so. So I haven't had that happen, but I have had the proximity alarm go off, and it's very responsive. I mean, the proximity alarm goes off when you get really close to someone. I had someone brake really fast one time while autopilot was going, and the car actually turned red in the danger zone on my display. But I was able to react in time to stop the car, and I think I had taken over for autopilot, but I think even autopilot would have handled it.
So even the colors of the cars on your screen change color.
That's right.
They go from gray to blue and then red when they're dangerously close.
Yeah, there's an intermediate black stage too, where it's kind of like a safe distance. White or gray, depending on what you want to call it, is way up there. Then black is kind of like, I know where it is, I'm following it safely. Blue is, you're close, and then red is danger.
Now, how about taking control back from autopilot?
There's two ways. Since we've got two different types of autopilot, if I grab the steering wheel and just I can feel a tension in it, so you can feel it steering right now. I can feel a tension in the steering wheel. If I break that tension, now I have control of the car.
Wow. How much of resistance is that?
It's not very much. I mean, it's enough so that resting your hands, you can kind of relax your arms on it, and you're not going to pull it, but it's really no force at all to take control back over. I'm going to set it back on. Now, if I touch the brake, everything turns off. Adaptive cruise control goes, the regenerative braking kicks in because I don't have my foot on the gas. All of that stuff takes over, just like regular cruise control.
So far, you've been pretty happy with the autopilot?
I've been very happy with the autopilot. There is, on my commute, there's a stretch of 280 where in the morning I'm going right into the sunrise, and it's really hard for me to see the lane markers. And sometimes it's hard for the car. That's when I get a lot of the put your hands on the steering wheel warnings is there. Plus, that particular section of 280, they've repainted and they've grinded down the old lane markers and repainted them in a much more severe curve to accommodate construction. And it has a little bit of problem with that. It steers a little more aggressively than I'd like. But for the most part, I've been very happy with autopilot.
Psychologically, do you feel like over time you're going to become reliant on it? It's become the new normal? Like, is it just a fun feature to try, or is it actually something you use day to day? And how has that affected your perception of the road?
Yeah, it is something that I'm using every day on my commute. I drive my carpool, and well, I should say my car drives the carpool, because I use autopilot in traffic, and I'm still paying attention to the road. I hope I continue to pay attention to the road. I can see how human nature and just a familiarity with the technology could make me more lax when I'm driving. I'm already pretty confident in the technology just by seeing how it's reacted to the road conditions that I've been on. The one time where I really thought I needed to push on the brake and it wasn't going to do it, the moment I went for the brake pedal, the brake moved away from my foot because it was applying the brake.
Okay.
So that kind of stuff has really built a confidence in the technology. And I think the real dangers are me getting relaxed or too comfortable with the technology, or them doing a software update that has a bug in it, right? I mean, because right now it works great. I get software updates all the time. The next version may have some kind of weird glitch.
And that happens over the internet, over the cellular connection in the car. Now, autopilot right now works in the freeway. It's working fairly well right now, as far as we can tell. Yeah. Does it work when you go on surface streets? It
does work when you go on surface streets, and I've used it on some of the longer surface streets, but it doesn't understand traffic lights or stop signs. So in that case, you still need to take control. So it needs to be a long stretch of a surface street that's fairly uninterrupted. So for the most part, I drive myself on surface streets. Some of the larger surface streets, I use autopilot.
So maybe in like an off-freeway surface road or something.
Exactly.
Would be a good place to do it.
Precisely. Also, as I've been using the technology, I've come to learn some of the quirks of the AI. And I noticed that when I change a lane, it will go ahead of someone to get into a pocket. But if it has to slow down, if the pocket starts, say, mid-car, it won't slow down to get into a pocket. It'll want to go to a pocket that's ahead.
Interesting.
And so you've got to be aware of that, especially if you've got a lane change that's coming up that is that's crucial or needs to be done fast. I'll often take control in that instance because I want to slow down to get into a pocket, or I need to really accelerate to get into a pocket. It seems like it prioritizes the distance between you and the car and the speed over the lane change.
Very Very, very cool. Now, you can use navigation here, but there's no way for you to program, let's say, go from work to home and have autopilot head there.
No, that is a feature Elon Musk wants once everything is out. He has said that the current technology in these cars should allow them to have a Model X that's in Los Angeles be summoned and come and pick you up in New York.
Freeways only.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it would have to do surface streets at some point for that kind of a long drive. And you'd have to need those nightmarish snake automatic chargers so the car could charge itself along the way.
How about roundabouts and hard turns in the road?
I've had to do some hard turns. I'm not sure how the AI deals with slowing down, but it does slow down on hard turns. The hardest turn I've had is here in the Bay Area when you're going from 280 to 17. There's a ramp that comes up and really comes to the left. I was taking a bunch of people to lunch, and we were all in the car, and we're like, we're going to test this, let's do it. And it goes up on that off-ramp, and we all start to scream. I'm reaching for the steering wheel, and it turns and took it, no problem. But it was one of those moments where, like, do I trust it? And we're going to kind of have one of those here, because right now we're on 85. We're leaving from Gilroy into southern San Jose. And there is, we're in the carpool lane, and the carpool lane has a dedicated lane to go from, 101 to 85. And that's got a pretty steep turn. And I've done that with autopilot before already.
That's a one-lane off-ramp.
Yeah, marble shoot. It's about like 2 miles up now. We're getting pretty close to it.
So that's built confidence over time in that, do you know if it kind of errors on damage to the car or comfort, speed? Like, is it tuned so you and the passengers are comfortable?
I think right now it's a bit aggressive. I've had people, when I've taken them on test rides with it and turned on autopilot, be a bit taken aback by how aggressively it brakes and turns, because right now it kind of steers hard, especially when it needs to. I think the software in that will get better over time. They've got to tune those, algorithms or whatever is controlling how it sees and how it plans out turns. But right now, I feel it's a bit aggressive.
Well, as we approach this turnoff for this carpool lane, just a quick recap on some of the features. You have your phone, you have your camera, you have your data for your energy consumption. There's an internet browser built in.
There's an internet browser, and of course we tuned it to test it a little bit earlier as it loads in.
And you're using a cellular connection. It's over LTE now.
That's right.
You found out it's actually over AT&T?
Yeah, that's what the person... I just found out when I got my Model X. They would not tell me for my Model S. Like, the entire time I kept asking and no one told me. So when I picked this up, I asked, now that it's LTE, what's the deal with the internet package? Because a lot of these cars' features, the map, and I have it set so that any of my maintenance information goes back to Tesla automatically so they can predict problems with my car. All of that stuff's relying on having the network connection, and they haven't told me how to pay for it when they stop paying for it. My Model S still works. The guy at the delivery center said that they're guaranteeing with the Model X 4 years of LTE, and they're not sure how long it'll last after that, if it'll go away at 4 years or if they'll keep paying for it.
Yeah, and you need that cellular service for like maps. There's no local map storage.
No local map storage.
Device storage. I also noticed it's a little warm in front of my hands there, possibly because of the screen and also the processing.
Yeah, it is a little warm. I think it's a little warmer than the Model S, and I don't know what the cause of that is. It's not uncomfortable, but you can definitely tell that something's going on there.
Right, and auto dim for brightness on the outside.
It does. They're still using tile-based maps, not vector maps, and I have a feeling that's probably due to the same Google rules where they want tracking information if they're going to give you access to vector maps.
All right, Christian, we're approaching that turn you talked about.
Yes.
Coming up right now.
I'm going to keep my hand a little bit near the steering wheel just because this is such a severe turn, but I want you to know that I am not touching the steering wheel.
I'm bracing myself. Oh, I can feel that turn.
Right, it's a bit severe, and the car is like, hey.
It's beeping, yeah.
And when it does that, it says, when it starts beeping like that, it will actually start slowing you down. It says, put your hands on the steering wheel to maintain speed, and you kind of give it a jiggle, and it lets you know, let the car know, hey, I've got a hold of the steering wheel.
So to be clear, for that turn, you weren't actively turning at all?
No steering. I had my finger here just in case something went wrong. Wow. But yeah, I was not actively turning, and a lot of people were upset at me for going so slow in that turn. But we took it pretty fast.
Yeah.
There was just somebody tailgating me.
I would love to give this car a test drive. Can I take a hand steering wheel?
Absolutely.
All right.
Let me get off at the next exit, and we'll swap.
All right.
So, if we bring up the controls, we can close the door with a button push.
I just put my foot in the brake, which I normally do, and the door closed.
Exactly. I don't have that luxury over here as a passenger.
You know, not being familiar with driving an electric car on a regular basis, I am still doing the same thing I did last time, which is letting go of the accelerator like I would the gas, and expecting it to cruise. Like, for example, here, if I let go, I would have enough gas to cruise to that end of the street, but now it just stops because it's the regenerative braking.
Yes, and a really cool thing that I didn't know about at the time when we did our first video that I've experienced is when you charge up the battery in a Tesla, it's got a bunch of battery cells, and those battery cells, it wants to have as many cycles as possible, right? Discharging a battery and charging it up destroys the life of a lithium polymer battery. So by breaking it up into hundreds of different cells, it can keep them at partial states of charge. And here from the charging menu is where you set how much charge to charge up to when you fill it up at night. And here's the charge marker, and that's where they recommend leaving a little bit of leeway so that those other batteries can stay partially charged. And that allows them to cycle which battery pack is being used at any given time.
So you never maximize that until like the night before going on a big trip.
Exactly. So that's when you maximize it. But when you do maximize it, it affects the regenerative braking because there's no place for that power to go. And it puts on the tachometer on my Model S, I have the tachometer on the left-hand side, it puts a dotted line that shows your maximum regeneration rate. And that goes up as the battery starts to deplete. And the reverse happens when your battery gets really low. When your battery gets really low, there's a dotted line that affects your acceleration, and it won't let you accelerate past this, certain number of meters per second.
It should just take the energy and like create a Back to the Future like electric charge
around
your car. You got the going doors.
Yeah, it should electrify the outside or leave flame trails or something.
Yes.
The first photo I took of this, I drove by my former manager's house, and he's a big camera guy, and he wanted pictures. He wanted a picture of me in front. So, of course, I did the looking at my watch with the gull-wing doors open. You have to do it. It's super nerdy, but how are you not going to do that?
I'm just surprised by how stark the controls are. There's no buttons here. There's a lot of stuff within finger's reach when you have your hands on the steering wheel, but not a lot here at all. So I'm about to hit the freeway. How do I turn on the autopilot?
So when the steering wheel comes on, you'll double pump the cruise control, which is the bottom knob, towards you.
Okay.
But I would wait until these lane markers free up. I normally get into the slow lane before I engage it. And so, I mean, yeah, now would be fine to turn it on. So the bottom knob, you pull it towards you twice, like you would double click a mouse. There you go.
Whoa. So I can feel it automatically taking control of the wheel. It's like force feedback on a PC steering wheel.
Exactly.
Now, am I at this point, like, I can take my feet off?
You can. Right now, I would pump up on the cruise control because it was set at 53 miles an hour, which is a bit slow. But yeah.
So I can set up to, let's say, 65.
Yeah, absolutely. And now
and I can feel the acceleration.
Yep.
And if I take my hand off the steering wheel, it will make this turn. This is the future. This feels incredibly cool. Can I change lanes while it's in the turn?
Yeah, absolutely, change lanes.
I know there's a couple car behind me.
You push it all the way. Push it all the way.
Okay. So the car's coming up behind me. I'm gonna let him pass me because you said it likes to speed up. So I'm gonna. Yeah. Okay, there it goes.
So now
there's a truck coming up.
There's nobody.
I'm gonna move up.
Yep.
I'm going at, this is crazy. I'm going up 75 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And
you have to turn the turn signal off and then back on again to go to another lane.
Okay, let's go one more lane, carpool lane. That is so surreal.
Isn't it great? I love it. I can't wait till everyone's car drives itself so that we don't have to worry about people making mistakes on the road.
It's also really terrifying the first time doing this.
Yeah. I mean, I still check my side mirrors when I do it and make sure that there's nobody there. But yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with it.
I can imagine plenty of dangerous situations. If you're changing a lane, someone is also merging into the lane.
Yes. And I mean, it's got those proximity sensors. I've heard them go off. I mentioned once it tried to merge over, and I noticed that there was somebody there. And so it started beeping at me like, you're going to hit this guy. And I'm talking to the computer, you're the one merging.
Yeah.
But I just grabbed the steering wheel and turned it a little bit. It wasn't even really a major event because the merging is so slow, and I think it would have stopped itself, but I didn't want to trust it, right? I mean, if I was beta testing the car, maybe I'd trust it, but this is my car. I don't want to hit somebody.
And then also, I just took command back of the autopilot, and my natural inclination to do that was to put my foot on the brake, which instantly disengaged both cruise control and autopilot, and that was very easy, just to take command again. Wow. All right, that was amazing. I would love to drive more of this car, but thank you, Christian, so much. We're going to get back to a safe place, get it parked, and I'm going to ask you some final questions, and we'll wrap it up.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Christian, that was awesome. I've never driven in a car that drove itself, and at those speeds, it was wonderful. You got the S, you got the X. Charging experience is about the same. There's a high-powered charger for your house?
Yeah, there's a high-powered wall charger. It looks like a gas pump. It does 65 miles of range every hour, and that's how you charge it at night. I'm fortunate enough to work at a place where they have car chargers, so this one I primarily drive to work and leave charged there, and then I charge the Model S here at the house. I've got a second breaker box for just this because it's a 220 at 80, and my house has some older wiring. And at the time, PG&E was giving a better discount if you had two separate meters. Now that's no longer the case, but it's nice to keep everything separate.
And in case of emergencies, you can plug in just your standard 3-plug wall adapter.
Yeah, you can. That's about 7 miles of range in an hour.
Okay, overnight.
3 to 7. So it's definitely overnight. It's overnight. Yeah. There's been times where my high-power wall charger, like the fuse broke because I was having some electrical problems, and I've had to rely on that. And the Model S's commute is so short that I've been able to survive with just that. But it worries you, especially when you've got to go on a long trip.
Awesome. You don't have any range anxiety with the X?
No, I mean, having had the Model S for several years, and I've gone to Seattle, San Diego, Las Vegas. The trip takes a little longer because you've got to stay at a high-powered wall, a supercharger, which does the 300 miles of hour in 300 miles of range in an hour. But it's nice. I stop, I eat, I use the restroom. The trip takes a little bit longer, but it's free. I'm not using any gas, and I love the way these cars drive, so it's definitely worth it.
Awesome. It's one of the most unique cars on the road right now. I am officially doubly jealous of your cars, but the Model 3 is coming out in a couple of years. I'll have autopilot features.
That's right.
I'll have a lot of the same technology as in these cars. Christian, thank you so much.
No problem.
It's great to see you again.
Nice to see you again, yeah.
And thanks for letting me drive the car.
Absolutely, and I am not ordering a 3. At least right now I'm not.
That would be the trifecta.
It would be, but I don't have enough room. So
we'll have to go for test drive in the one I get.
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you.